Okay, so you never memorize the checklist. So the thing we want to do is we want to make sure our pitot tube, and you know why you don't memorize the checklist?
No, what?
Because you may tend to say, "Oh, I already know and not use it," and then you might miss one thing, right?
Right. So always check it every single time.
So
Yep.
and because it don't matter. A guy's got thousands and thousands of flight hours. You miss one thing, right? Take off with your pitot tube cover on, right? So you got pitot tube cover off. Check.
Yep.
Okay. Chocks are out. Mine's out.
Yep.
Is yours out?
Yep.
Okay, good. Seats adjusted. Doors, we can close them whenever. We're ready to go. Baggage, nothing going to fly around. And just keep in mind that the camera is right behind your head, so if you hold your head a little bit to the left, you won't block the video. But you're not blocking it anyways. The video's right here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, there goes the wind. Okay. Let's see. Harness belts are good.
Yep.
Controls free flowing correct. Okay, here's the deal, right? We want to make sure that when you turn this plane to the left, that it's not going to go right. So you want to, before you turn it, you got to say to yourself, when I turn this plane, that yoke to the left, I want the plane to roll left. So this aileron is going to do something, and that aileron is going to do. So what is that left aileron going to do if you turn the yoke to the left? What is it going to do before you turn it?
Go down.
Okay, now maybe, but you got to think now. If you turn this yoke to the left, what do you want that wing to do?
I want the wing to drop.
Okay, so if that wing's going to drop, then if the aileron goes down, is that going to make it drop?
No, it's going to make it lift.
That's going to make it lift.
Right.
So you got to think that, right? So if you're going to make that wing drop, then that aileron needs to go
Up.
Up.
Yeah.
And you want what do you want this wing to do?
Go down.
That's right.
Well, the wing to go up, but you want the...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you want this wing to go up.
Yep.
You want it gain lift, and that wing to lose lift to make a left-hand roll. So you want that aileron to go
down.
That's right. So let's see if that happens. Go ahead. Okay, is that correct?
Yep.
That's good, because if it did the opposite, if it would have went down and that's what you thought it was, then when you get in the air, you go to turn left, your wing going to go free. You say, hey, listen, let's figure this out on the ground before, because once we're in the air, that's it, right?
Yep.
So we had to figure everything out on the ground. Okay, so now when you turn it the other way, make sure it's good, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's do our freedom check. Freedom check is turn it all the way either to the left or the right, pull it all the way towards you gently, and see if there's anything restricting it. Anything, try that again. Go back, and then bring it all the way towards you. Nothing restricting, right?
No.
Okay, good. Now turn it all the way to the right, and do the same thing with the right. Make sure nothing, see if it's free. Is it free? Nothing restricting.
Nothing restricting,
Okay,
no.
that's good. Okay, so now when you pull the yoke towards you, what do you expect the aircraft to do?
This, and expect it to go up.
That's right. You expect the nose to go up.
Yep.
So for the nose to go up, what does this tail section have to do?
Tail section has to go down.
That's right. It needs to lose lift.
Yep.
So for the tail section to lose lift, the elevator on the back of the horizontal stabilizer on the tail section, what does that elevator need to do in order to make that tail section lose lift to make the nose go up?
It has to go up.
That's right. The wind hits it, pushes it
down.
So now you can look over your left shoulder if you can, or the back window, the little back window, if you can, if you can see it. You should be able to see the elevator.
Yeah, it's up.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
And then when you push it to the panel, then the nose should go down. The tail section should gain lift. So in other words, you want the elevator to go
down.
That's right. And then the air hits it and pushes the tail section up, making the nose go down. So let's check to make sure that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's free flowing correct. That's good. We can move up to the next deal. Of course, when you get your license and you're doing this, you do it so quick. It's bang, 5 minutes, it's done, right? But explaining it different. Okay, controls free flowing correct, done. Flaps. Here's your flap, right? Push it like that and down till it clicks. That'll give you a 10-degree flap. So go ahead and do that. 10-degree flap. Okay, that's good. See, they're both the flaps.
Okay, they're both the same. Yeah.
10-degree. Now you do it again. The 20. That's 20-degree flap. We hardly ever use that, but here, these are flapperons. They work as ailerons as well.
Yeah, so you can still
turn the yoke.
Yep.
And look at the flap. They still work as work as ailerons, even though they're down. So that's kind of saves you in weight, right? So now you can put it back to 10 degree. This is where we normally land. If we normally land in 10 degree because we don't want to fall to the sky. This is your airspeed indicator. Okay, and at the end of the green is where you lose lift with no flaps, like this.
Yeah, with that.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, if you put it down to 10 degree, go ahead and put it to 10 degree, then you can go in the middle of the white and green, and you put it all the way to 20. Now you can go all the way to the end of the white with full landing configuration, which is 36 knots, I believe. Yeah, 36 knots, and that is good. That means you can go pretty slow
and you have
with full landing configuration without losing lift. Okay. Now you put it back to 10. We know we can go that slow, and then you put it back to retract it back to 0, and there at the end of the green, we can't go no slower than that. Otherwise we lose lift. We go into what you call a stall. Okay, so we want to stay in the green now. When you're flying over the water, try not to go too close to there. Try to keep it at 60. Now, if you start going too into there, just push the yoke down a little bit, right? Or give yourself some more airspeed. If you're going too fast and I want to go slower, you can pull up a bit, right? This is kind of the opposite what your brain would think, right? But that's the way it is. In the green is your normal cruising area, right?
Yeah.
Speed-wise. Yeah. In the white is where we can use our flaps. We never want to use our flaps if we're not in the white, because we could damage the flaps. Too much airspeed. The green is where you normally want to fly. Yellow is where you can go on a light and variable or calm windy day. Not wind, hardly no wind. A day like this, we would not want to go in the yellow, because this red, you know what that means?
We're going
never exceed. Otherwise you damage the plane.
Yeah.
Okay, now if you go into the yellow on a windy day, you could get a gust of wind, and it could, within a second, could shoot you right up into here. Right? Now if you're in the green, you get a gust of wind, it'll shoot you into the yellow. Okay, I better slow down a bit, I got some gusty. But you never want to go in the yellow if it's like a day like today, which we might not be able to get up today, we don't know. Okay, so, and that'll be good, because in your next lesson, you'll watch this video, and then you'll know what it all is. You'll just explain it to you. Okay, so that's good. That's your airspeed indicator. And we got miles on the outside and knots on the inside. Okay, so now we're going to move to our elevator trim. You remember the piece of metal that's on the back of the plane?
Yep.
Okay, maybe close that door, because I'm getting cold. That's good. Okay, so I go back to elevator trim. You know why they say elevator trim and not aircraft trim?
No.
Because it's exactly what it is. It's an elevator trim. Elevator trim means it only trims the elevator. The elevator is what makes the plane go trim. It's the elevator that makes the plane. The trim only trims the elevator. So when I pull down nose up, the elevator trim is going down, making the elevator go up. Right? Makes the tail section lose lift and make the nose go up. And then if I trim nose down, pushing it towards the panel, then it's going to make the little piece of metal there, the trim, go up, making the elevator
go down.
It goes down and actually makes it gain lift. Makes the tail section gain lift, making the plane go down.
This means this goes up. So
that's nose
go up.
Yeah, nose up.
And this is nose down.
That's nose down. That's right. Okay, and in the middle is neutral.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to always have it in the neutral position when we take off, because we don't want to take off like that, like a rocket. We want to take off like this.
Smooth.
When we land, then we pull it almost all the way down, maybe about right there, which we're going to go nose up. So that gives us easier to land on the mains, which is right underneath. Right. That's the mains. We don't want to land on the nose. We want to land like a bird, right? Bird. So I'll put it in the neutral position, because that's what it says right here. Elevator trim neutral. Okay, now we're going to do the park brake. The park brake is combined with this. It's a one-way valve, open and close. Like this is the throttle, and here is your brake. Yeah, you squish it. Unlike a Cessna 152 or 172, they have the pedal brakes, the toe brakes.
Yeah, right.
That's why an instructor will always say on the takeoff, they say heels to the floor, because they don't want you to They don't want you touching the brakes like you're. Yeah, the brakes are kind of cool having a Cessna because it helps you turn too, right? But on this plane, no, it's just rudders only, and the brakes are right here, and it gives you equal braking pressure on each one. It's hydraulic braking on each tire, and you use it right there in the hand. You squish it any throttle position. Now the parking brake is a one-way valve. It has open and close. When it's open, the brake works normal.
Yeah.
But when you put it on the closed, now you can turn it into a parking brake by pushing the brake a couple times, and it gets hard. Now what it's doing is putting the brake fluid into the cylinder and putting pressure, but it's not releasing it because it's bringing the fluid in but not letting it out. So that gives you the
actual
parking brake.
Yeah.
And when you want to release the parking brake, you just hit it open, and it just lets all the hydraulic fluid out, or brake fluid out.
Yeah.
And now your brake works normal when you squish it, and
it goes back into the system again.
Gets it back in the system, back to normal. So that's just a saving thing they did, so you don't have to have so many things. Okay, so now we did that parking brake on. The reason why we want the park brake on is when we start the engine, we don't want the plane lunging, right? Okay. So now we're going to go to our electrical. That's your radio. That's your transponder. These are your landing lights. This is your navigation light. Okay? So when we start the plane, when you're turning the engine, you got a lot of current going into that starter. Right? Now, maybe not so much the landing light and the navigation light, but these two here, the transponder and the radio, have sensitive circuitry in there that can get damaged with all that power going in it if they're on. So you want to make sure they're off before you turn on the start the engine, right? One time we leave the radio on by mistake, and then for about 15-20 minutes the radio make a humming noise. So we get almost wreck it.
Because you're sending the electrical current through the radio.
So we want to leave it off. Now the other thing is when you can tell this is off.
Yeah.
And you can tell the navigation is off, and you can tell the landing light is off. But the radio, the last guy may have just turned it down.
Yeah.
It may looks like it's off. So what you need to do is you need to put your finger right on there and turn it to the left, because if the last guy just turned it down, that means it's still on.
Still on.
Yeah. So you want to try that. But see if it's on. See, now I turned it on purposely just to show you that sometimes the last guy might have. So I always double check to make sure it's for sure off. And that's what you need to do. Now we know for sure it's off, so that's good. Now it's saying altimeter set to field. Now you know what an altimeter is?
No. So altitude?
Altitude. It tells you how high you are above the ocean.
Above the ocean.
Above sea level, right? Yeah. So it's not telling you how high you are above the ground. It's telling you how high you are above the sea
level.
Oh, okay. So you could set this by turning this, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you turn this, it's like a clock. 1, 2, 3, 4. 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet, 400 feet. And when it go all the way around, then the little hand will go to the one. Now that'll be 1,000 feet. And so forth, all the way, right? So this is on that little short tube there called the static port. Yeah. And it tells you how high you are, but it's built on pressure. And you want to know the pressure in the area. So you need to find out from the tower or from another source what the altimeter reading is for the pressure outside in order to get an accurate measurement of your altitude above sea level. But if you're on the ground, which we are, we can just use the elevation, which would be the same thing. Actually, it'd be even more accurate. And in the air, then we would use the little window there and get the altimeter off the field. But we make sure it's pretty well close to the same when we get the elevation. Right. Now, do you know the elevation for this particular area?
I'm not sure, but it's probably close to about 50 meters.
Yeah, it's 34 feet.
34 feet?
34 feet.
Oh,
and if you had a Canadian Flight Supplement book, which you get when you sign up, it tells you the elevation of every airport in Canada. And in the Langley Regional Airport, it is 34 feet. In Chilliwack, it's a CYCW is 32 feet. 2 feet different.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But in Calgary, well, 3,500 feet. So in other words, that little hand would be at the 3 and the big hand would be at the 5. So if you're flying over Calgary at 5,000 feet above sea level, you're really only 1,500 feet above ground level. So this is 100 feet.
Yep.
But each one of those notches is 20.
20,
20,
yeah.
40, 60, 80. So I usually go 100.
20, yeah.
I mean 20.
Yeah, and then
40 and then back
back.
up a little. Yeah, so it's pretty close.
Yeah,
34 feet.
yeah.
And then when I listen to the ATIS, then I'll find out what the altimeter is outside, and then I'll make sure that it pretty close drives. If it doesn't, I can calibrate this. Okay, and then this is your compass.
Yep. So what direction?
Yeah, and this is your turn coordinator, which we explained. This is your vertical speed indicator. So when you're climbing, it'll say we're climbing 500 feet per minute. That needle will be at the where it says up at 500 feet per minute, or we could climb at 1,000 feet per minute. Generally, we don't go any higher than that, or we descend 500 feet per minute. 1,000. This is a good thing to look at if your engine ever failed. Right now, if your engine ever failed, your best glide speed is 60 miles per hour or 52 knots. We use miles because it's outside on there. Right?
On the outside one, yeah.
So if you're losing 500 feet per minute, you can kind of figure out, or your engine's gone, and you want to get your 60 mile an hour best glide speed, meaning you can glide the furthest. You look at your vertical speed indicator, and you can pretty well kind of guesstimate how long you have before you're going to hit the ground. Now you're going 60 mile an hour, you're going a mile a minute, right? And you're going to figure, okay, how many feet am I losing per minute? You can figure out what you're.
And this is 500.
That's
so
500.
Each one is 100.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Okay.
11, 12. You can find out. So if every plane has their own best glide speed, and this with 60 mile an hour, if you hold your needle on there, then you're going to glide the furthest. Okay, so that's done. Now we're going to turn on our master. Now the master is right here, and it's up. I turned it up already.
And what is that? That's the master.
That's the master for the battery.
So
that we can start the plane. If we had a short or something, we could turn that off and the engine will still go. So if we had smoke and we want to turn it to master to kill the battery, the engine will still run because it runs off ignition A, ignition B magnetals.
Okay.
They produce the electrical spark that the spark plugs need. They don't need their battery. Throw the battery out the window. It's gonna, once it's running, you're good, right? And this is the...
So it runs on a magneto.
Magnetals, yeah, that's a safety feature, right? So you got two of them, A and B. Okay, so now we did that. Now we're going to go to make sure our fuel valves are open, which they are. You got fuel valve, the right and the left, they're both open. If they're in the vertical position, they're open.
So this one needs to be turned on?
No, it's on.
Oh, it's on.
The vertical position. If it's in the horizontal position...
It means it's off.
Yeah, so you think of the fuel like this. If it's like that, it's
means
off.
Okay.
If it's like this, it's on.
Gotcha.
One closes up, one closes down, one opens up, one opens down. But as long as they're in a vertical position, they're both on.
Both on.
Okay. Now we are going to do the emergency briefing. Emergency briefing that you learn when you get your license. And all pilots know this. If you ask them, they should know it anyways. During an emergency, there's 3 things that all pilots must know. And they all rhyme. Aviate, navigate, communicate. So aviate means fly the plane. No matter what happens, have control of the aircraft. And navigate means look for a place to land. And then communicate is your maybe call. So, for example, say we're flying, and you can hold on to the yoke, and you're climbing out. Your best climb rate is 65 mile an hour, 56, 57 knots. But you don't have to climb at that speed. Say you're climbing at 80 knots or 70 knots or 65. It don't matter. And your engine kicks out. You're 100 feet from the ground. You're taking off, and put. What are you going to do? What are the 3 things that are most important?
Navigate.
Aviate.
Aviate, navigate, and
communicate. Yeah, and aviate is the #1 priority.
Aviate.
Okay, aviate, fly the plane.
Fly the plane. Yeah.
So in order to have control of the aircraft, what do you need to do if you're taking off and you're losing airspeed right away? You're losing airspeed because your aircraft is pitched up like this, right? So you lose the engine. What's going to happen with your airspeed?
It's going to drop.
It's going to drop. So in order to prevent it from dropping, because you got no engine now, what do you need to do with your yoke? You want to push your yoke all the way to the panel, nose dive, and get the airspeed back.
Oh, so you're creating the speed.
Yeah, because now, see, your plane will fly. It don't need the engine if you have enough airspeed. So you need to get your airspeed back.
And then you can level it out.
Yeah. So when you push it back like that, now your airspeed's coming back. Now you can pull back
a little bit
and get your 60 mile an hour best glide speed.
Okay. So you're diving.
Whatever it takes to get your glide speed so you can keep the plane in the air. Because you don't want to drop below that green.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're going to fall. But what you can do is if you're on a climb out like this and your engine kick out, I push it right away. Push it right away. Yeah, right away. Nose diver in right away.
Yeah.
Then get it. Because you know how fast you lose your airspeed? Like this.
Wow.
So I push it within a second. Yeah, get her down right away. That save your life right there. So if you're going like this, climbing, like that, get her down, get your glide speed, and hold that 60. Okay, and then move over from aviate to navigate. Okay? And when you're on navigation, you don't want to take your eye off that too much because you can stall pretty easy. So when you're looking for a place to land, don't take your eye off this too much. Or this even.
Yeah, because that'll keep you level.
Yeah. Turn coordinator, use your rudders to keep that bubble in the center. Because if it goes to one side or the other, you could lose lift out of one wing and put you into a spiral or a spin, which is almost impossible to recover from when you're that close to the ground, right? With no engine.
No engine.
You want to keep this glide speed and your turn coordinator, so that's part of aviate. And even when you move over to navigate, don't forget that. It really should be aviate, 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 navigate, aviate, communicate. This is priority. Now you move over to navigation, you're too close to the ground, you're not going to try to turn around, because if you try to turn around and go back to the airport,
you're going to go
lose too much real estate.
Right.
You're going to hit the ground. So you just look for a nice place, the best place you can find straight ahead. Right? If there's a tree in the way, of course you're going to move out of the way. But you know, generally the best place you can land. And then you may not get to communicate because you're so close to the ground.
Right.
You're just going to do the aviate and then aviate, 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 navigate, aviate, navigate, aviate, navigate. And look for a place to land. And if you have time to prevent a short when you land, because it might be a hard landing, you can turn off your master.
Right.
And to prevent a fire or a fuel leak, you can turn off your fuel valves. And then you can remind your passenger to don't forget to
open up the.
You don't have to open it or just pop them.
Yeah, pop.
That way, if the fuselage bend,
then you
can still get out. And the best thing to explain to your passenger how to pop the doors is
just lift.
Pre-briefing
Right.
in the beginning of the flight. That helicopter stink. Okay. Now we're going to start the plane. Oh yeah, before we start the plane, I want to make sure boundary bay is not too rough. So this is the number I give you.
Welcome to the Vancouver area. For menus in French, press 9. For Vancouver International, press 1. For Abbotsford, press 2. For Pitt Meadows, press 3. For Langley Regional, press 4. For Boundary Bay, press 5. 900 Zulu. Wind 290 at 6 knots, visibility 15 miles. Sky condition 2000 scattered, altimeter 3011. IFR approach, RNAV runway 30 or visual runway 30, landing runway 25 and 30, departing runway 25. Landing hold short operation, runway 25 and 30, stopping distance available. Runway 25, 4,500 feet. Runway 30, 3,300 feet. All aircraft inbound are transiting the Boundary Bay Control Zone. Contact the outer tower on 127.6. Inform ATC on initial contact you received information Delta.
Make sure their clouds aren't too high.
Boundary Bay information Delta, weather at 1900 Zulu. Wind 290 at 6 knots, visibility 15 miles. Sky condition 2000 scattered, altimeter 3011.
It's good.
Awesome.
3011 is their altimeter.
My kid.
Oh, good. Okay, now we did that. we can start the plane. So to start the plane,
So we gotta make sure this is locked.
yep, and it is.
Yep.
And we did all that.
Yep.
So to start the plane, what I do is we close our doors
Yep.
and you just lock them up good. On the checklist, it tells me to stick the key in and turn it. Just make sure our fuel is good, and we dipped them as well.
Yep.
Okay, and now we're going to start the plane. It's going to be a warm start, so I put my hand on here like this on the brake, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to let you start it. So put your hand on there, and then you put your other hand on there, or vice versa, or you can put this one on there or that one. We turn on the magnetos, one up,
One up.
and then the other one. You want them both up, but you turn them up at the same individual times, which you did. Okay, put your hand on there. Put your hand on the key. Now you're in this position. You're going to do three things. First thing you're going to do is make sure your rudders are straight, because if your brake fail,
Yeah.
at least you know where you're going to go.
You're gonna turn. Yeah.
You're going to go straight ahead. You're not
Yep.
going to shoot over there or shoot over there towards that plane.
And they have to be pretty much.
Yeah, they're pretty well straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they're too crooked, then you got to get out of the plane and pull the tail down and do it with the fin or with the rudder, because you could damage the linkage. But it's pretty close. Okay. The other thing is you want to look both ways to make sure nobody's walking up to you,
Yep.
and no other plane's going to taxi in front of you that you could T-bone if your brake fails.
Yep.
And the good thing about doing it like that is that if you forgot to squish it, at least you can catch it.
Yeah. You can catch it. Yeah,
So
I like
you-
this better. Yeah.
All those things that I said takes you a couple seconds to do, and you do all those. The last thing you do before you turn the key is you go clear prop, loud enough so people can hear you outside, and then you turn the key. Okay?
Okay.
So I'll let you do those three things, and you're good.
Clear prop.
Now it stopped like that. You got to turn it. It has try to turn it again. Watch
It won't turn.
You got to turn it off.
Okay.
And then turn it back on, and then go a little loud, just a teeny bit louder.
Okay.
But do it while your hands on the key, and go like clear prop a little bit louder.
Clear prop.
Perfect. Yeah. So you got to hold it. Here, I'm going to do it for you. We're just going to kind of show you.
You gotta hold it.
Sometimes you got to hold it. Okay. Clear prop. One man kick in, now the two man kick in. Okay? I had to give it just a teeny bit of throttle at the same time. So now that we got it ready, the first thing you want to look at is your oil pressure. You want to make sure it's above 29 pounds per square inch. It's at 74, so that's good. Right? Oil pressure. If it was too low, we'd shut the magnetos off so we don't seize the engine. I'm going to set this now for Langley, back to here. Now for the runways hard. Now we go back to our checklist of full start. Full start, you got 2100 RPM. That was good like that. And oil pressure about 29. Yeah. Yeah. Now it's saying we want to make sure our choke is on, which it is.
Yep.
And now we need to turn our radio on so that little dash is vertical. Turn that on. Okay. Now you notice there's no readout, eh?
Not yet. No.
So you need to cycle the key. You need to turn it off and then back to the same position. And then you'll get the readout.
Okay.
Okay? And then you can turn your transponder to standby. Okay? And now it's asking you to turn on your lights. Landing and navigation when they're down there. That's right. Okay, now it's asking you to close one of the fuel valves and leave the other one open. So yeah, you can close that one. The words bringing up, yeah. So what we're doing is we close that one. We're checking this one. If this one's plugged for any reason, then the engine should shut down in about 30 seconds to a minute. If it's not plugged, it'll keep running. It's a safety feature. We're checking on the ground.
I like that.
So now we want to set our ATIS. While we're doing that, we can set our ATIS. So here's our ATIS, automatic information here, right? automatic, I think it's automatic terminal information services or systems. So 124.5 is when we need to listen. So the top one is active, the bottom one is standby. So I'll preset this
Or that one.
and then decimal 5. And that way we can listen to the information, make sure that the winds aren't too heavy and all that stuff once we get our headsets on. So now the engine didn't shut down,
Yeah.
so we can reverse it. You can turn that one on and then close mine. That's what you do. Then you let that go for a minute. So now while you're doing that, we can, now just so that you know, we're going to put our headsets on, but when the tower is talking and stuff like that, then we can't really communicate.
Yeah.
So we want to out his point and stuff. But when they're not talking, we just talk normal, right? Just through here. We can do a test or whatever. These buttons, that's just for talking to the tower. I'll just use those for the tower.
Oh, I see.
Or for the other tower. So we can put on our headsets now and do a test to make sure we can hear each other.
Oh, I gotta flip this around there.
Oh, yeah.
Test, test, check, check.
I'm just gonna go to your first initial.
Yes.
Is it again?
Yes.
What was the last one?
Neff.
Neff?
Neff.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah, Neff like this. Huh?
yeah, got it.
Okay, so now we want to listen to the ATIS. Okay, now you can open up fuel bottle. You want to listen to the ATIS, so you hit that button and now put it up on the ATIS. Now it says Hobbs note. That's our hours. We got 9:86. And then it says, what does it say? Oh, I have to get this straight here. It says key offering, right?
Ah.
And then master offering here. And then park brake off. And then I'll flip this over to the next flight if I'm going to get up anymore.
You never know.
Then when you get out, some people get their foot caught in that lip. So I'm going to stick both feet out. And then it's better.
Okay.
Oops.